There we go. Hello, everybody. We're live with Blockchain Kingdoms. We turn video gaming into passive income and paid work. Thank you for joining me. Now, I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say in this video is financial advice. It's purely my own opinions. And here at Blockchain Kingdoms, we have our meta source cards available at shop.blockchainkingdoms.com. We also have a 5 versus 5 game in development, which is part of a job token that we have. And today in this video, I'm going to be discussing is our planet dying? I've made many videos on our planet. I've also made a guide. We've had some ups and downs with our planet lately, and we've had far more downs, unfortunately, than ups. So I'm going to be very candid about my opinions on our planet. Obviously, it is in my best interest for our planet to do well. But that being said, I have to be candid with you guys because I've made plenty of videos about our planet. So actually, let me go ahead. You're going to be seeing some of my screen. I'm using a laptop. And so, yeah, if I'm moving around on Discord or something, you're going to be seeing what's going on. But I am cool with that. So you guys know. Still not. I made this image just for this video, and it doesn't seem to be using it when I post it on things like on here. So it's kind of sad because I kind of want to post it to the main our planet channel right now, but I guess maybe I'll have to just wait until later, because I don't want to be posting the wrong image there, because it would just not, really tell people or communicate what it is that we're talking about in this video. Also, there are plenty of other projects right now. Actually, let's use CoinMarketCap instead. I'm liking it lately. Lots of other projects have been doing very well. Actually, it looks like Gala's down 19% today from where it was yesterday. So, but yeah, I mean, it went way up. I mean, it got all the way up here to about 0.3. It's kind of been trending downwards since then, unfortunately, but still, this is almost twice what it was about a week ago. There's also something else called Mist that is way up. Splinterlands released a token, a governance token called SPS. I actually bought some of that at what was it? Let's see what it's at now. I think it was 0.3. Yeah, okay, so I bought some more. I bought some of that at 0.7. I was kind of in and out of it, made a little bit of profit, got out, and then I bought some more at 0.7. They have staking coming for the Splinterlands token on August 2nd. So so I think this might be the bottom. I don't know for sure. But when staking gets released on August 2nd, I think that's going to go back up. Dungeon Swap is constantly kind of up and down, but the dungeon is coming on the 1st of August. So that is super exciting. I already have one of these little, what do you call it? The sword. I got this in a drop for staking 100 LP tokens. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so let's just talk about our planet, guys. That's probably why some of you are here. Let's go look at the wax price. So wax, I'll go over to wax. So we've had a heck of a time here with our planet. I first got into our planet way up here. It was at 0.0016, and now it's at it's got, what, another 2 decimal points of zeros on there now. So that's not good. That's not good at all. So, gosh, we moved 2 decimal points. That's it's down more than 100%. So that's pretty awful. Not really what we wanted out of this project. And I came into this project with a lot of hype, super excited. It seemed like they were doing a lot of things right with the game. And now we're looking back, we'll be like, was that all? Was that all just like luck? Did these developers just luck into something and they actually don't know what they're doing? So let's talk about a couple of things, right? So we've had some people come into our chat lately, and they're like, "Hey, I'm thinking of getting into our planet. What's a good way to get started?" And of course, I direct them to my video. But to be honest, like, I don't know if I would really tell people to get into our planet right now, just this moment, on July 30th, 2021. Now, we do know these markets go up and down, but we've seen with our planet tends to have a trend where they release some kind of news about the game or new feature, and then you see the price maybe go up a little bit more, and then it drops some more. And it's been continually on this downward cycle like that. And it seems like the bumps are getting smaller and smaller. And you might be wondering, well, why is that? Why is it that, our planet releases new information, but the economy seems to be shrinking? What it basically comes down to is that people are leaving the game, so they're leaving the market and the economy. They're selling their items, and the other one is that there's no new people really coming in. There's not enough new people coming in to push that economy upwards, so it's really those two factors. If we had more people coming in to buy the tokens, to buy the assets, we'd see the market economy go up. But instead, people are exiting, and so when you have people exiting and no new people coming in, you just have a market drop. So we're going to analyze a little bit about that. I kind of want to use Photoshop here to kind of help me draw out some of my thoughts, but basically what happened was we had a ether could be used to create these elements, right? We had rigs and things like that. We had these elements, and the elements could be used to create more elements, right? I feel like maybe I'm not using the right software for this. But the elements could be used to create more elements, and those elements would then generate more ether. So we have the elements create more elements, and they create more ether. So we have this constantly inflating supply, which by itself I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But then they started to release new elements for us to create, but then we had something bad happen where we have this exponential difficulty with creating new elements. So since the more elements are made and new inventions and things like that, we started to get this exponential difficulty, meaning that it costs more and more in order to, or rather, it became harder and harder to puzzle out what the ingredients of the elements were. So then you basically you have more people throwing in money, or essentially a ether, into this inventing scheme in order to try to make something new, and really the inventing reward then doesn't become as good. Actually, I invented building the other day, and it was like the second to last thing that was invented. Couple of days ago, gave me an inventor prize of 100,000 ether an hour, by our Planet community Discord essentially rolls that, they count that as me being a whale now, because now I earn over 150,000 ether an hour. And of course, that the value that's dropping. We go look at the RP AW. And we look at, this will populate here in a second. So if you were to watch my video a couple of days ago, I was looking at this, monthly, how much I'm earning was, I know I said I'm earning 150,000 ether. I have some elements in a separate Our Planet pool that are coming back to me soon. So if you add those to that, then I have over 150,000. But anyways, I'm sorry, 150 million. So if you were to watch my video from a couple of days ago, you would see that this monthly value of my ether was about $1,600 a month. If you were to transfer the Ether to Wax to dollars. So you can see we're down like 40% or something like that at the moment from there. So it's a pretty steep drop in just a couple of days. And the catalyst for that was the further announcements and further thing. They released the upgrades for the lands. And so the way that people were thinking was what was going to happen was that these lands were going to get released. The lands would get released, and then that would then increase demand So what a lot of people are hoping is that they would release the lands, and that would increase the demand for a Ether. But that was only one component of it, right? So for a lot of people, there were basically two assumptions that were made for our planet's the value of our planet a Ether going up. And one of those two assumptions. Let me actually just make like a new image here for this. Maybe I'm making these images too big for what I'm doing, because my computer's going a little slower than usual. Maybe I should have rebooted before the stream. Anyways, so two assumptions. So one assumption was, in order for here, let's put it this way. In order for a Ether to go up, sorry, I haven't said hello to anybody in the chat. I just realized I haven't done that. I've kind of been on my own rant. But I'm gonna finish this thought yet, and I'll go say hello to you guys in the chat real quick. So in order for a Ether to go up, let's go with one. Here, let's need to do that. Demand. There needs to be, plus, more demand for a Ether. So there needs to be more demand for Ether, which means that we need to be able to spend it somehow, right? And the second assumption that we make is that new players are coming into the market. Or at least new money. It doesn't necessarily have to be new players. It could just be new money. As long as new money is coming into the market, more people are buying things. So in order for a Ether to go up, we need these two things to be true. We need demand for a Ether to go up, and or we need new players coming into the market, or at least new money. And then we would see the value of a Ether go up instead of see it, drop and drop and drop as much as we have seen it drop. So, the big one here is new players, because this is what we're dealing with. Like I said earlier, we're dealing with an exit of players rather than seeing the new players come in. And the reason for that, to me, has become very, very clear. So it was just a couple of days ago that our planet announced what they were doing with the lands, and go to the Medium page. And what happened was that they announced that that people would be able to build the robots that they've been talking about, but in order to build robots, you would need to own land first. Well, there are two problems with that. Number one, the lands are expensive. I think right now it's like they're probably going down by now, I'm sure. But let's go on to Wax Atomic Hub. Let's go into the market. Let's go into our planet. And let's just go into lands too, which are the cheaper ones, right? And yeah, now lands are actually significantly down from where they used to be. So now the lands are down to $435 of wax, just about 3,000 wax. If you look at the sales history, people are actually buying them at about 3,100, yeah, about 3,000 wax. Wow, what? This person sold a Weaponite, uncommon Weaponite for 1,100 wax. That person, even by today's standards, probably got a pretty good deal. Wow. Anyways, so that's what we're looking at. So people are now actually starting to sell the lands at a lower price point, which is actually going to, make it more affordable. So while I talk about our planet dying, there's another function in economics we really need to talk about, which is the lower prices go, the more, the more buying pressure gets created, because the more appetizing it starts to look to buy things. But we keep seeing this with our planet again, where we think maybe we see a buying opportunity and then things keep going lower. So are we going to keep seeing that with our planet? Well, we're going to keep discussing it and kind of analyze it. At the moment, I think my answer is I don't know, but maybe we'll figure something out while we continue to look at this. So I'm going to look in the chat real quick. Hello, F Mendes. How do I say that? Fon Mendes? F3 Mendes. You're going to have to help me pronounce that. Thank you for joining us again. And this other gentleman, or this other person with the strange name, I don't know. It's just, what is that? I think it's not even kanji. What is it? Says, yeah, our planet is dying. Yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like it for the moment. Maybe the developers will learn from their lessons and find a way to get new players into the game. Like, they're supposed to be launching more lands eventually, but are they going to do that in a way that actually gets new players into the game without devaluing the other land that's being held right now? So going back to the analysis here with the robots. So that was number one big problem. Number one big problem is that you need land in order to build the robots to get more land to fight. So suddenly now new players actually don't have a decent price entry at the game. If we see even right now, a couple of days ago, the price entry was about $600 for land. Now it's about $437. That's it's a little bit more affordable, but it's still expensive by a lot of people's levels, but there's some compounding problems here. So let's go look at this. Let's make a new document. Actually, look at the our planet's compounding problems. So number one, going to put down here. Number one, our planet's compounding problem is one, wells dominate efficiency. Efficiency. I'm pretty sure that's how you spell efficiency. All right. So the wells are dominating efficiency. And that in itself is not a bad thing. The problem is that there are no new markets no markets for new players to compete. So if we look at this a little bit critically, or we try to put this into perspective, land makes current wells more efficient. And dominate the entire game. So if the Our Planet people had done this right, in my opinion, what they would have done was that, let's make just another, I'm going to make another new image here. Because let's talk about market dynamics, right? And this is what I think it seems sometimes like these Our Planet devs didn't go to, economics class or something, or they didn't take it very seriously. They're just kind of making games for fun. That's fine. But if you're like me, NFT gaming, definance gaming, you really have to pay attention to your economics. So what we have happening here is we have we have a market which is a ether. I think here, let's do this. So let's add a stroke onto this. Let's make it blue for a ether. So we have a market here which is the a ether market. And inside of the a ether market is also the elements, right? So so here's where the current wells are dominating, and let's add just another ring here, and we'll make it black, and you have these we have the elements, right? So if I make this a stroke, so here we go. So let's say this black ring is the element. So the a ether mark, you know, is, you know, what centers it out is the elements. The elements make the a ether. And so the people who have the elements make the a ether. And now we're going to go into lands, right? And so so now we have the lands were actually still inside of the same supply chain and the same market. So if we're going to make this, let's just make this like orange. Now these are the lands. And let's see. Right, so if you own, I mean, I think I should probably, you know, well, I guess having the a ether on the outside makes sense. Oh no, I'm not even doing this right because I should be putting these on separate layers. But anyways, and then we're going to put in the minerals, okay? So the minerals, let's make them bright blue. They're also all inside the same market space, inside the same supply chain, and so they're all condensed. And they're all compounding on each other. Remember I said that the compounding problems, wells dominating efficiency. So if I were to go back and like really plan this out, I would probably put the rings in a different order. Like I'd probably put the, I'd probably put like the a ether market inside of it. I would put like the elements at the core, and then I would put the lands on outside of that, and then I would put the minerals on the outer rim. But basically what I'm trying to say is that with each new feature and in each new segment of the game that Our Planet has been announcing, they have been making the wells more and more efficient and dominating the market. So this pushes new players out, and then it basically forces wells out as well. It's kind of forcing a lot of people out. And so you could say that the wells are just eating themselves alive, but it's kind of a simplification. What's happening is the market is shrinking, and so just everything becomes worth less. And this is kind of the opposite of what we want to see happen. So if so this is kind of unfortunate why I did this kind of out of the wrong order here. But if we were to, there are a couple of ways you could do the economy. So let me use an example here for something like, let's use something like steel, right? So let's say that you have someone who is a steel producer, and the steel producer makes automobiles, right? So, and let's say that you have someone who owns someone who owns like a steel mine, or not steel mine, but like whatever base components are made to make steel. Why can I not get this? Oh, it's because there are two here. Okay. So if this person also had steel, then they would then have basically that market essentially compounding or efficiency chain on that we call it, we sometimes call it vertical integration, right? They have more efficiency on making steel because they have the mine. But then let's say that this person wants to make let's say this one person wants to make an automobile, but they don't have all the components for the automobile. They need to go to other places in order to get their automobile, all the other parts. You need leather for the cart, for the seats. You need plastic for the tubing, all that stuff. So now we're going to basically put in the market for like making an automobile, like a factory and all that stuff. So now I'm kind of putting this outside, this ring outside here, because they're going to need other components. Like let's say that this little circle here that I'm creating is like plastic. So let's say this person now they don't own anything plastic wise. So let's say that this green circle represents another like the marketplace for a marketplace for plastic. Like plastic needs to get produced by someone else, and so this person who then had the kind of had a vertical integration with a mine, and then had vertical integration with the steel production, and then wanted to make a factory. Now they're having to branch into making automobiles and getting their parts from other places, like getting the plastic for the cars, for the tubing and things, from other sources. So they don't have a domination of that market. They have to go and they have to buy that from someone else at whatever the current going market rate is for that thing. And so this is more of what we want to see with our planet. We want to see new marketplaces open up where new people can enter and make new opportunities. And this is typically the way the world works. Is not everybody is vertically integrated into everything. So you have we have a very big world, and with a variety of resources in different places, and some workforces better at certain things than others, and so this creates in our global economy. It is for the most part, it functions. Right? The global economy functions because it's so chaotic, it's so big, there's so many opportunities. And so whether or not the economy is working for you is really a function of the opportunities present for you. But this is really the big problem with our planet right now, is that it's not creating opportunities for new people to come in. It's not creating new markets. My opinion, what they should have done was they should, my assumption, what I was hoping, I was making these assumptions in order for Ether to go up. I was hoping that basically the new players would be able to use Ether as part of their robot construction, and then they would get some kind of reward that would be appealing enough to buy Ether from the Ether market to create the robots. But that's not what they did. Instead, they said, hey, you're going to use your Ether to upgrade your lands. But the problem is that that's already part of a vertical integration of people who already have elements. All they need to do is buy more land, and then they're vertically integrated for creating robots. And then where does the new market come in? Where can new players compete? So as the value of the lands drop, you're going to see a better price point for new players. But where's the bottom of the land market? That's the question. So if you're sitting here and you're like, well, I want to say Ether go up, or I think I might want to get involved in our planet, but I'm just waiting for everything to get cheaper. Well, then I think what's going to be the touchstone is the value of the lands. If lands become like $100 or something, maybe that is a good point of entry. Could lands get that cheap, $100? I don't know. I think if they did, it would probably be a while. It's probably not going to be anytime soon. And it's also going to depend on the news, because maybe our planet, the developers have secrets that I don't know about that's going to change all this and flip everything on its head. I tend to think that people will kind of consistently deliver what they're already doing. Typically developers and things, they can change the way they do things, But I think if a developer comes in, what we've seen with our Planet developers is that they're really not in communication with us. They speak to us through their community managers, and the communication just honestly isn't great. It's a lot of the time, to be honest, it's not professional. A lot of the time we've seen Bond's community manager come in and insult the community and things like that, and they've been very defensive. And I'm sure he feels justified because he's between Ukrainian devs who don't really speak to the community and the community, so he's the middleman, and he has to take all of the flack, and so he just happens to have the type of personality that gets defensive about it most of the time. But I think that that's predictable for the future. Like, let's just be honest. Like, if you're in an abusive relationship, I mean, to go on extreme here, right? And if you see people in abusive relationships, and you're like, that's a horrible relationship, why doesn't that person get out? And they just stay in it. It's like, well, what do you expect to change? Like, they're still the same person, and they still keep abusing the person. So, but the mentality of the abusee is that the situation will change, the person will change, and I honestly don't really see that with our Planet, but you never know. I mean, again, out of self-interest, it is better for me that the game do well. The better our Planet does, it's good for me. I've actually invested quite a bit into this game. I have considered it an investment, and I was looking for ROI. But I'm also in a special position because I have a blockchain gaming company. So I've said this in other videos. I come from this from a different angle than a lot of people because I have a blockchain gaming company. I have my own NFTs. We're creating our own, inflationary demand, inflationary supply of tokens, and we have our own games coming out for this. But I try to learn from the things that go wrong with our Planet. So I'm kind of in this special position as a game developer, where I'm not only a player, but I'm also someone who's trying to understand how these markets fluctuate, how they're impacted, what works, what doesn't work, and that's going to make Blockchain Kingdom's assets stronger in the long run. That's my intention, it's my goal. And so, so you might be asking, well, Robert, how are you doing it differently? And what makes yours different from theirs? And let's see. I wanted to go to, we have documentation here for, oh, you know what? It's over here on announcements. Okay, so we're in here. Collab stickers. I'm looking for our most recent white paper I uploaded to people. Actually, this is slightly outdated, actually. Here, this is... Oh, well, let's not do that stuff. All right. Eventual, here we go. All right, so sorry about the delay. Let me look at the chat real quick because it's been a while since I looked at the chat. Okay, whoa, there's been a lot of chatter here. Atomic Outrage says, isn't a huge influx of players will cause the Ether price go down? Well, caused it to go up, and then as people exited, the costs go down. So it was a pump and a dump. Maybe it's worth to come back in some months. Big whales like Van are gone. What causes prices go down? Are people leaving the game? New players buying Ether would cause price go up. Yes, crafting is not possible for newbies, and if you're not a new one, everything's crafted in seconds. Everyone will want to take profits in the game. I mean, not a lot changed in terms of the 8 Ether generation and the element creating. I think it was really the lands. It was when people saw the lands are $400 and they realized that in order to be competitive, competitive that they need to keep buying a ether to make the lands, and there's a lot of uncertainty around creating robots, like that's what's forced a lot of people to exit because it's just too much for them. Like too much uncertainty. Uncertainty will also drive people out of the market. Let's see. It has a good community. Hate to see it die slowly. Yeah, I mean, I've said a couple of times, I actually think of this moment, Luffy and Absolute are streaming on Twitch. And, they work hard to grow that community. And, they seem like pretty cool guys when I see them on stream. Don't know them, personally, but they seem pretty cool. He says, the guy with the strange name says will not die, will just go into a price level it deserves. That's kind of what I'm saying. Although also I'm not saying that, if this consistently keeps happening, it could keep, we could keep seeing the same cycle as, if depending on how disinterested people are in the game. See if they make a regular thing, they will get punished. Price will be dumped because of this news. Green Rabbit announced a 2-week delay in a roadmap. Committee will punish them with a price dump. Maybe. I thought that might happen, although I was also really surprised by the Green Rabbit staking system. Like, if you go if you have Green Rabbit items, you go into their staking thing, the way it works. I thought it was really cool. It seemed like it had a lot of work put into it. Anyway, so I was going to talk about what is different here in terms of what we're doing differently with our cards. So with our Metasource cards, we have 4 different factions. You can collect them. You collect multiple factions, and or you collect the same faction and the same types, you get bonuses for earning, which is 2.5% each. So if you were to buy 5 of our cards, let's see. If you were to buy 5 of our cards, like all 5 of these Eevee Rainwaters, if you were to buy all 5 of these, they're the same type, which is Cyberpunk, and they're also the same faction, which is Club Phantasm Factory. So if you have all 5, it earns you plus 20% income for all of these. So we realized that, if someone were to buy a whole bunch of these, they could get like a 200-300% increase in earnings. So what we did was that we turned the earning per a Metasource card way down. However, that is not the only way that a Metasource card generates, value. One of the biggest ways that a Metasource card generates value is that every day it's going to drop you a rarity between a farm, a ranch, a village, and a town in terms of our Crypto Castles cards. So we have an extended ecosystem for the Metasource cards. It's not just the Metasource cards. When you buy a Metasource card, you're also buying a card that drops you cards for Crypto Castles, which is a different game. And we actually think Crypto Castles could be potentially bigger than the Metasource cards themselves in a way in terms of users. And that's kind of the way it's designed. So when I built it out, I was like, okay, so the Metasource is going to have, Metasource cards will have their own market, but what if the Metasource cards create, a secondary market not only for the Metasource tokens, right? But for a card merging game. And I thought a card merging game was more interesting than, say, like crafting elements, which ended up becoming, a compounding, people's efficiency. So I was like, how do I create a secondary market where compounding efficiency doesn't get out of control? So what I did was I created these things called Crypto Castles, where you can merge 3 of these cards together like a farm. It will create a ranch, and the token earnings is linear, is basically fairly linear. So so if you merge 3 of these farms, it will basically create you a ranch, or upgrade you to a ranch, burn those 3 cards, create this 1 card, and the earnings of a ranch are basically linearly 3 times the earnings of 1 farm. So, you burn 3 farms, you basically get a ranch, it earns you 3 times as much as a farm. It's very simple, linear progression. But then we also created rewards, where if you merge things, you can get a bonus. So if you merge a ranch there's 50% chance you're going to get bonus lands. You're going to get more farms or more ranches. But these chances are also linear with the upgrades. So your chances when you merge something isn't any better than anybody else. So if you merge 3 farms, you're not only going to get a ranch that upgrades, but you're going to get a chance at getting extra lands. But you know, everybody, this is fair between everybody. There's no one who has an advantage in the rewards that you get when you merge. So that is linear, and so that makes it kind of predictable in terms of the amount of Metasource tokens that are being generated. And we made some modifications to our economy where we said, hey, so a castle was going to drop you 1 farm a week. We later changed it because I was looking at, I was just looking at everything. I was looking at Green Rabbit, I was looking at Nova Rally, I was looking at our planet, and I was like, what is, just what's the best way to do this? And I think like the fun part of the game is merging cards. In order to merge cards, you not only need the Metasource tokens to merge them as a cost, you also need just a card itself, like a farm to merge. So I'm like, I need to make farms more accessible. So I decided to do was that you can now create farms by activating castles or Metasource cards. The Metasource cards are more effective. They cost less, about half as much as it costs a castle to produce, and I think it's more than that actually. I think it's like 75% of what it costs a castle to produce, but it's on a cooldown. So they're kind of, and you might be like, why? It's because there are, I'm kind of weighing the benefits and cons between the two. A castle generates more Metasource tokens. It generates a lot of Metasource tokens compared to everything else, but it also costs more. It costs the same amount that a castle produces in a day to create a farm. So if you had a castle, you could create 1 farm every day, but it's going to cost you all the Metasource tokens that you have for that day, and it's going to put it on a 24-hour cooldown until you can do it again. So and so this offsets the generation of Metasource tokens. So if you can spend all the Metasource tokens that a castle earns a day, which as we look at it, it's quite a lot. If we go look at the production, so a farm produces 1 Metasource token an hour. A ranch produces 3. Like I said, it's basically 3 of those together create 3 farms is 3 Metasource tokens an hour, but 1 ranch is 3 an hour. So you can see that if you were to burn 3 of these, it basically makes you 1 of these. Plus, the 50% chance of rewards, which is fair for everybody. But if you go all the way to the castle earns a lot. It's 243 an hour, which if we do 243, I mean, I already know what it is because it's down here in farm production, but it's 5,832. So if we were to times that by 24, it's 5,832 a day. So everything that you earn for a castle is basically allows you to make 1 farm a day. But then if you use a castle to make 1 farm a day, you don't have any Metasource tokens left over from that castle to do anything else. So you might just start to see with the crypto castles and the Metasource economy. And let's go back real quick to how much a Metasource card earns. Is only 20. So a Metasource card only earns 20 Metasource tokens a day, versus a castle, which is 5,832. So if you do the math, 5,832 divided by 20. So a castle is earning 291 times more than a Metasource card. But it takes time and tokens and also NFTs in order to create a castle. And it's designed this way, right? The castles will be highly sought after. They will take time and tokens to create. They're really the jewel of the crypto castle ecosystem. And if you have castles and you have even cities, then it makes it easier to also then produce new farms from a Metasource card, because you can now also activate a Metasource card to create more castles. It costs about 75% less or 66% less. I'm not going to do that math right now. I think 66% less, and only a 12-hour cooldown. And these are, I was kind of weighing the pros and the cons of the ecosystem, and I'm like, so, what's the bottleneck right now? If you had someone who had, almost infinite money, I'm looking at it and I'm like, so the bottleneck for creating new farms would be the cooldown periods, because they could always buy more Metasource tokens, right, that are out there, but they might not be able to buy more cooldowns. So we're actually looking at this. I'm looking at the possibility of allowing people to pay to reset the cooldown, but I haven't yet figured out how to make that fair for the economy. Is it twice as much as it would normally cost? Do those tokens get burned? Because if you do that wrong, it could break the economy. So I'm kind of looking at that. We might not allow you to reset the cooldowns, because it would also turn it into pay to win more than anything else than this ecosystem is done in the way it's designed so far. And we're not looking to make it pay to win. So last but not least, what I want to eventually do is create an extension to this where you have heroes and you have like adventures, and you can duel other players and things like that. I want to have an extension to that eventually, but what we would do with it is we would make it like a separate market, like I was showing you before, where instead of having these concentric circles all inside of each other where the efficiency is all on top of each other, we would have something that's more balanced, these different markets. So we'd have like an infinite supply of, like, say, a type of hero that would allow you to jump into the game. And if it did earn you Metasource tokens, it would be like a very, very small amount for the infinite supply. And it might even go down in like a distribution. If there was, and I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole with it, but basically, eventually when we do create a whole new extension, this ecosystem, to let new players into the system, to participate in the economy, they're going to have their own market sector, which does tie in, but isn't isn't dominated by vertical integration. And that's really the important thing when it comes to, where the step that our planet is in and where they've misstepped. We're not going to misstep that when we eventually create our extension to our systems. And those might not come until next year, because, honestly, it's probably going to take even more forethought than anything we've done so far with crypto castles. And probably even more testing as well, because the more complicated, the more layers you add to economy, the more it needs to be tested. Our planet just goes to show that this just wasn't really a tested system in terms of market economy. And our planet devs may defend themselves and be like, hey, this is the way we intended it. It's your problem if you don't like it. And all I can say is, that's fair. It's their game, and we choose to be here or not. As thing as Giovanni was telling me in our chat the other day, he was like, well, we can choose to be in your, to buy our cards or not. And it's like, it's true. It's just totally true. We choose what we buy in this collectible space. Let's see. I don't know why, but it says message retracted here for these. But Fuzzy Super Pie says, isn't the card earning for Metasource? Yeah, it is 20 per an hour. That is how much a Metasource token. Metasource card earns. Josh, Josh and I have been talking about the token names. We think that we might not be able to use MT. I think we might need to use 3 letters. He likes MSU. I like Meta S, but I guess it's like Metas, and he's saying that he doesn't think that's going to be easily searchable on the internet, and too many things will come up. So we're probably going to put it to like a community vote to see what the Metasource token should be called. So that is coming later. But yeah, so also we have the festival tickets where Every time you merge a card, you can get a festival ticket, and I think this really kind of adds more fun to it. We're going to reward you guys with Meta Source cards and with castles and the other lands for winning the festival. And we've also kind of gamified this by having 3 different types of tickets. One is an alternating festival where a ticket is worth more per festival. So if you hold yours for an extra month, it'll be then worth more in the next competition. And also the grand entry, which is kind of like getting the rare or the rare version of this where you get more points entering the festival, but it's kind of a rare pool, right? So yeah, all of that is super fun. So we're going to have some really big announcements coming for Blockchain Kingdoms very soon. We just to give you guys a little sneak peek, or a little hint about what's happening. We do have a website being developed by full stack developers now. I kind of want to show you guys something from that, but I'm kind of like, is it really shocking and amazing? Because I kind of don't want to show you anything from the website until I think it looks really cool. But it's looking pretty good. Josh and I, my business partner, are happy with it, and we have some plans too. I'm actually going to post today an announcement, proposal for how we're going to do our drops on the Wax platform. Josh had some really cool ideas about how we could modify the way that we do drops, and I think they're a really good idea. But we want to run it by you guys, especially people who have purchased some of our Metasource cards before we do that. And this wasn't, we didn't do this on purpose, but it's also going to create an incentive to buy the cards that you want on our website now. If you really want to get those faction and type bonuses together, then you're probably going to buy some cards, and we're going to make an announcement today, and you'll see why that is. But shop.blockchainkingdoms.com if you want to purchase our cards. We've posted the last batch that we're going to post until our launch. We're still making our cards. If you go into our announcement channel, let's see, and I go down. This is the latest card batch here. You can open it and get the big version. So this is the latest card batch. It's not available on the website. It's batch 30, which I guess is a milestone release for us. And batch 30 is not going to be available on the store. The same thing with the batch for next week. But we're still producing the cards on schedule, like we promised. And we're going to make all of these available during the Wax drop. So, and in terms of like other things going on with the market, Dungeon Swap does launch a dungeon on the 1st, which is about 2 days from now. I guess technically, I think it might be 1 day. I think they do their releases early in like the AM for United States. So it's not very long now, and if we haven't talked about Cryptoblades yet either. So let's go to CoinMarketCap. Cryptoblades. So if we go to Cryptoblades, it's down to $56 from its all-time high of like 150 or so, I think it was. Is this a good time to buy in? I don't know. I mean, like, I really don't know. 160, 184 was the high. It's down to 53. If our planet has taught me anything, it's that these pump and dumps can easily go down 70 to 100%, or below 100% from their all-time highs. I don't know enough about Cryptoblades to really tell you guys whether or not this is a good buy price for Cryptoblades. I say very cautious. I don't play Cryptoblades. But Mist was that other one that was doing well. I haven't bought into this one because I don't know enough about the game. And it's I know someone who did buy in. I think it's a little bit up since they bought it. But I think the game's not coming till like later this year, September after September. But it's definitely way up the last couple of weeks. But it seems like a lot of these gaming things are really hot right now. And, I've told people before, I think this is going to be the year of the gaming coin. We're going to see some of the biggest gains in these gaming coins. We've kind of seen it already. And I wish I could get into some of these earlier. Like, I didn't even know Mist had a token. You know what I didn't know had a token was Illuvium. I heard about Illuvium, and it seemed like a lot of people were interested in it. I barely even looked at it, but I didn't even know they had a token until like yesterday. I was like, they have a token? And if we just look at it, we go to the all. I mean, yeah, this is up. Yeah, I mean, this is up almost like 9 times since its all-time low back June 23rd, 24th. So yeah, I mean, I think if you can find one of these gaming tokens that is early, I think you'd be sitting really pretty. And something I really want to bring up with Splinterlands is that I know they just had a big pump and dump, but if we go and we look at the NFT gaming charts, like what are the top gaming? Oh, these are top gaming tokens. That's a little bit different than top played games. But I want to look at like the amount of users, right? It's top blockchain games by DApp Radar. If we go here, Cryptoblades is number 1, Alien World is number 2, and Uplands is number 3. Axie Infinity is number 4. Splinterlands is number 5. Says it's only got about 2,000 users less than Axie Infinity. I don't know why the market cap is significantly less than Axie Infinity, but I think it goes to show there's some major potential there. So I'm going to hold my SPS. I think the staking comes out on August 2nd, so I'm going to see what happens with the staking. Apparently, you can also use the SPS from token to like bet on certain players or essentially back them to earn some rewards. And so I don't know how that's going to work. I think it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I think, if you can get on something that probably isn't even on this list yet, that seems like it might be good. Yeah, could be a really good deal. We can see Our Planet here is even number 7. Yeah, but go ahead, join us in the Blockchain Kingdoms Discord. The link is at the bottom of this video. We talk about these games all the time. We give each other hints and sneak peeks. Because of Healthy in our chat, I was able to get into Dungeon Swap when it was still only about $3.5. So that's been a really nice return so far. And I'm going to keep holding this for the release. Something to know about Dungeon Swap is 2 things. Number 1 is that their staking right now is being very generous, especially for LP. If you're if you provide liquidity for the DND and BUSD token, which means that you essentially go here into the liquidity fountain, and you put in a certain amount of DND and BUSD, you can exchange LP tokens, and you stake those LP tokens into the fantasy farm, and you will get tokens back. So it's really generous right now. It's like 72% ROI in DND tokens for for this right now. So there are 2 things about this. Number 1 is that it means that every month we're probably looking at almost 72% inflationary supply of the token. However, the game is going to launch soon, and that might bring in a ton of new players, 2 to 3 to 5 times, new people into the market. Number 3, they said there's going to be a max supply of 5 million tokens. So I don't know when we would run out of tokens then. It seems kind of weird if there's... I don't know how many tokens are in the supply, but let's just say it was 900,000. I think on CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko it said over 1.9 million. So if most of those tokens are staked, well then that APR isn't going to be sustainable for the token delivery until they hit 5 million. Volume 30 million. Max supply, total supply, 200,000. Is there only 200,000 tokens out there? No, I don't think there's 200,000 tokens for this out yet. Is there? I guess that would make more sense. But now, why does it say 3 million for the max supply? Oh wait, I'm not even looking at the right thing, guys. I'm looking at that says 200 million. I was getting my numbers all mixed up. Sorry about that. You guys are probably sitting there going like, "What's he talking about?" It says 939. So 939,000. Yeah, I mean that at the current staking rate, that would reach a max supply in just a couple of months, maybe like 5 months, 6 months max, in terms of hitting the 5 million token supply. So that's interesting. It's interesting. So it means we're really going to have an inflating token supply, but with the game being released, it might not matter. We still might actually see the tokens go up quite a bit. And I wish I'd kind of done that math and figured that out earlier, because when it was at $18, I think if I'd done the math, I would have been like, oh, actually, that's going to impact the market quite a bit. Maybe I should sell at like $18. Instead, I held. And now that I look back, and I kept thinking, well, gosh, why do people sell so hard? And I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, that makes more sense. If there were smart people in their wells and they're looking at the inflationary supply of the tokens, even with the game release, they probably knew that $18 wasn't going to be sustainable. But I still like this one, and I think the game could be fun. So I'm going to live stream when that game launches for Dungeon Swap, and you guys will get to have my feedback. Cool. So anybody have any questions or anything before I shut down the stream? Gonna shut it down here in a second, but you have any questions about what I think about our planet, about any tokens out there, any games? Funko Pop is going to have a drop on Wax here pretty soon. It's also going to be backed by physical Funko Pops. We don't know the supply of those yet. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for the video to catch up here so you guys can answer me. What's going on in the Blockchain Kingdoms Discord? Insider chat, ST8 Wayne Manor says, honestly, our planet needs to hold off on the giving of hints, implementing upgradable lands, etc. until the game is ready with an incentivized burn mechanic in place. Otherwise, they're just propping it up in the short term, but leaving it in worse position a few days later. In addition to that, they need to buy a ether and legit work something out with Van ahead of time for his buyback where he isn't able to take it all at an above average rate and burn it in order to provide a soft reset. Otherwise, so no new players, even at a lower entry cost, can compete with how much ether old players have already built up. I don't see another great avenue to success for them. While trying to offer a deal to Van is super interesting. I mean, that's kind of like a radical idea to go to Van and be like, hey, let's work out a deal because you're killing our economy. I don't know. Sounds like the old, should you meddle or should you not meddle? Should you just let a free market correct itself without messing with it? I think when you design in a game economy, you have to design it with a free market in mind. You have to be like, if I were to not meddle with the economy and just leave it to run on its own, what would be the best thing to do? And I can agree with ST8 in our chat here that the meddling hasn't worked. And it's, trying to like patch a sinking ship with blankets or something. But, the real solution is to design good economics. and that should really be done before a game even launches, but we're kind of already past that point. Interesting. So Joey Doe says Funko supplies 20K standard and 10K premium for the TMNT drop. Where'd you get that info? I didn't know that. Because last I was reading the Medium, I think released yesterday or the day before, and they weren't telling us the supply yet. But yeah, thank you for that. 20K standard and 10K premium. I mean, that's a lot. I think that's probably one of the bigger drops I've seen, right? It's interesting. I think that supply probably sounds about right for the market that's out there. I don't know if that leaves a lot of room to flip them. I know some people in our chat were interested in flipping the Funkos. Yeah, but that could bring a lot of people into the market for wax as well. So that could be really interesting. We might see more demand for other games like Nova Rally. There's going to be a lot of catching up for some of those people to do. It's going to be a lot of catching up. So Diamond Hand says, so Robert, are you bearish on D&D now? I got in around the top because everyone was all in, but now it seems like you've changed your stance. Maybe I should sell at around 18 just to recoup my investment. Well, I guess I wasn't saying Diamond Hands is posting this in our Discord chat. I'm not saying I'm bearish on D&D. I'm saying that you have to consider that it looks like the supply of tokens is going to 5x within the next 5 to 6 months. So, like I was saying before, like Diamond Hands, when you were buying at 18, I didn't know this. Like if I had thought about this and I'd done the math and critically thought about it, I probably would have let you know, hey, just so you know, the token supply is going to 5x. So the market size for D&D has to at least 5x in order to make this price sustainable in the long run, which it very much could. Like it really, really could. I mean, after the game launches, all it's going to take is a couple of big crypto gamers to post about it. I mean, I'm probably still a small time crypto YouTuber. We only have like 2K viewers, and but I try to do things. I try to deliver like a critical analysis on my stuff. I think that's probably not everybody's cup of tea. Some people just want to get all hyped, but I'm not about that. I'm just going to hype something up. If I hype something up, it's because I'm legitimately like it. I'm legitimately excited about it. But then after time goes on, I have to critically analyze how the markets are working. And when I first jump into them, I don't know everything about them. So what is the difference here in tokenomics between D&D and Cryptoblades? I actually have no idea. I'm not involved in Cryptoblades. I'm not the person to ask on that. I've heard that they've started to reduce the skill rewards and that the amount that they were distributing wasn't sustainable. And you're probably going to see the same thing with D&D. And I imagine what's going to happen with D&D is that there's going to be 5 to 6 times more supply tokens over the next 6 months. The alternative to that is that they might adjust the APR earnings. Like let's say 3 months from now, they then reduce the API earnings by like APY earnings by like maybe 50% or something. That's going to then impact people who are staking the LP, but they might want to start controlling the distribution of the token. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they'll just let it run its full course, and then there will be no more farming, and then the only new way to get to get D&D won't necessarily be through the staking, but through the dungeon. But I imagine they'll always keep the staking because it's called Dungeon Swap, right? So it seems kind of weird. It's called Dungeon Swap, but then the liquidity farms are not going to be producing as much as they are now. But when you look at it, this is tokenomics, right? Like you can't keep inflating the supply of a token and giving large, generous amounts of a token without then driving the supply up And without a new market, you don't get the price going up, you get the price going down. So especially if you're not staking for the good stuff, like the LP token, well, then you're losing out. But this is part of the strategy of something like Dungeon Swap, where you have to kind of analyze where you're positioning yourself. And again, I'm new to the whole farming liquidity pool thing, so this is a lesson for me. I'm like, oh, why don't I do the math about if there's only going to be a 5 million, cap on the tokens, and there's 900,000 tokens out there, and we're going to reach max supply at the current distribution rate in 5 to 6 months. Like, got to start, if I had known then, if I had known last week what I know now, it probably would have influenced my, my decisions in terms of, where I was, whether, because I held D&D all throughout the last 50% drop in price. But if I had known what if I knew then what I know now, I probably would have sold at 18. I probably would have suggested to people, they might want to do the same thing. But, I only know what I know about it now. And like I said in my original video about it, I'm new to the whole LP staking and, staking farm thing and this kind of tokenomics. But I think you have to take this knowledge and then use it as the market grows. So I guess to try to answer you more directly, if it hits 18, yeah, I might sell profit at 18. I might not sell a ton. It depends kind of how fast it's growing, because I don't want to totally get completely out of it. But then I would probably sell some of that, and then I would put it into the liquidity farm. And because I'd be like, well, I'm just going to start earning double my tokens then over the next month while I wait for this thing to launch. That is probably how I would work it. Yeah, even right now, if I were to stake all the tokens, if I were to stake everything I have right now, I'd be making like a ridiculous amount of D&D tokens. So since the whole thing is like, while D&D is mooning, you probably don't want to have everything in the liquidity farm in the short term. But if D&D isn't really going anywhere, then you might want to put it into the liquidity farm instead. But it's kind of hard for us to judge where these things are going, right? I think what we're going to have to do for D&D and Dungeon Swap is to see the dungeon launch, watch the YouTube channels, watch the, go to this, where were we over here? Go to the top. DApp Radar tells us that Dungeon Swap has about 1.34 users. Just snapshot this really. And here, I'm going to do it right now myself. Going to take a picture of that, snapshot that, and after the dungeon launch, take a look at it. A couple days later, take a look at it and see how that market is growing and whether or not it's taking off. And, anything could happen. Someone could cover this on, CNN, Fox News, and, get put on the major, could get covered majorly by someone big, and you'll see it explode. Mark Cuban could talk about it. Boom. You can't predict that. You never know. Like, you really never know. And that's just kind of the risk we take. All right. Let's take a look at the chat again. All right, I'm going to go ahead and shut down the stream. I really appreciate you guys joining me for my critical analysis of our planet, and hopefully I found you useful and entertaining. And remember to go to shop.blockchainkingdoms.com to pick up your Metasource cards, and we will be announcing some things in our Discord chat pretty soon about how we're going to release on Wax. I'm going to announce some of that today. So join our Discord at the bottom of this video. Thank you, like and subscribe, and I will see you in